My beloved child, I want to speak to you today about the ground you are standing on right now, because you do not fully understand how close you are to what I have prepared. You look at your circumstances and you see delay. You look at your prayers and you see silence. But I look at the same moment and I see harvest already breaking through the soil, still hidden beneath the surface where your eyes cannot yet reach. This is not a season of abandonment. It is a season of final preparation, and I need you to hear that clearly before the noise of your own doubt drowns out my voice. There is a truth I want to plant in you tonight. The hardest part of any journey is never the beginning. At the start, everything feels like adventure. Your faith is fresh, your excitement is high, and every small sign feels like confirmation. But the middle and the end of the road are different. The middle is where fatigue sets in. The end is where the enemy of your soul throws everything it has, because it knows that once you cross the line, it has lost. So do not be surprised that the closer you get to the answer, the heavier the resistance feels. That heaviness is not evidence that I have forgotten you. It is evidence that you are near. Think of a woman in labor. The final stage before birth is always the most intense, the most exhausting, the most tempting to give up in. Yet no mother who reaches that point walks away from the delivery room. She endures precisely because she knows what is coming. I am asking you to endure in the same way, not because the pain does not exist, but because you know, deep down, that what is coming is worth every contraction of this waiting season. I know you have counted the months, maybe the years. I know you have prayed the same prayer so many times that the words feel worn thin in your mouth. I know there are nights you lie awake and ask whether you misheard me, whether the dream you carried was ever real, whether you have simply been fooling yourself this whole time. My child, I did not give you that dream so that I could watch you fail to reach it. Every promise I plant, I intend to bring to harvest. The question was never whether I would finish what I started in you. The question is whether you will still be standing when I do. Here is what I want you to understand about my timing, because it is the source of so much of your pain. You measure time in days, in calendar pages, in birthdays that come and go without the change you hoped for. I do not measure time that way. I measure it in readiness. A seed planted too early in cold soil will rot before it ever sprouts. I am not withholding the harvest from you out of cruelty. I am waiting for the season in which what I give you will actually survive being given. If I opened the door today, before your roots were deep enough, the very blessing you are asking for would become the thing that uproots you. So when you feel the weight stretching longer than you can bear, remember that I am not slow. I am simply protecting what I am about to place in your hands. There is a particular kind of exhaustion that comes not from fighting a battle, but from waiting for one to end. It is the tiredness of a soldier standing watch through a long, silent night, unsure if the enemy will come at dawn or not come at all. That watching is its own form of warfare, and it is often harder than the fight itself, because there is no visible action to prove your faithfulness. No one applauds a person for simply still being there, but I see it. I see every night you chose to keep believing, when it would have been so much easier to walk away and call it wisdom instead of surrender. I want to speak now about the voice that has been growing louder in your mind lately, the one that whispers that you have missed your window, that other people your age or in your situation have already received what you are still waiting for, that perhaps grace has an expiration date and yours has quietly passed. That voice is not mine. I do not operate on expiration dates. I do not compare your calendar to anyone else's. Every person I have ever called carries a different clock, a different set of seasons, a different sequence of trials that shapes them into who they need to become. The fact that someone else's answer arrived faster does not mean yours arrived too late. It means your process required a different shape. Consider how differently things grow. A weed can rise to full height in a matter of weeks, but it dies just as quickly, and its roots barely hold the soil. A tree, on the other hand, can take decades to reach its full height, but its roots run deep enough to survive storms that would flatten anything grown in haste. I am not building something in you that will wither the first time the wind picks up. I am building something with roots. That takes longer. It is supposed to take longer. Stop measuring your worth by the speed of your growth and start trusting the depth of it. I also want to address the shame that has attached itself to your waiting, because I know it is there even if you have not said it out loud. You have started to wonder whether the delay is actually a judgment. whether I am holding something back because of a mistake you made, a door you walked through that you should not have, a season of your life you are not proud of. My child, if I dealt with you according to what you deserved, none of us would ever receive anything good. I do not withhold blessing as punishment, I never have. What you call punishment is often simply protection, a door I closed so that you would not walk further into a situation that was going to cost you far more than you understood at the time. I am not keeping score against you. I have already settled that account. What remains between us is not debt, it is trust. There will be moments in the coming days when everything in you wants to force an outcome, to take control, to manufacture your own version of the answer, because waiting on mine has become unbearable. I understand that urge more than you know, but I want to warn you gently, the things you build out of impatience rarely last, because they were never built on my timing to begin with. They are built on fear disguised as initiative. When you feel that urge rising in you, bring it to me before you act on it. Tell me plainly that you are tired of waiting. I am not offended by honesty. I would rather you wrestle with me in prayer than quietly settle for less than what I intended for you. I know, too, that this waiting has not been silent in the way silence sounds peaceful. It has been loud with other people's opinions. Someone has told you that you are wasting your life holding on to something that clearly is not coming. Someone has looked at you with pity, or worse, with the quiet satisfaction of watching you struggle. Their words have found the cracks in your confidence and settled there like dust in the corners of a room you have not had the strength to clean. My child, other people's opinions were never meant to be the architecture of your identity. They speak from what they can see, and what they can see is only the surface. They do not see the work I am doing beneath it. Let their words fall to the ground. Do not pick them up and carry them. There is a particular kind of courage required to keep believing when no one around you understands why. It is easier to have faith in a crowd, surrounded by people who share your hope and cheer you forward. It is a different thing entirely to hold on to that hope alone, in a room where everyone else has already moved on to other conversations, other concerns, other people's miracles. That kind of solitary faith is rare, and it is precious to me. I notice it. I am not indifferent to the fact that you have kept believing, when believing cost you comfort, cost you belonging, cost you the ease of simply agreeing with everyone who told you to let it go. I want you to understand something about the nature of the resistance you have been facing. It has not been random. There is a reason the obstacles have intensified just as you have grown closer to what I promised. Anything of real weight in the spirit draws real weight in opposition. If what you were waiting for did not matter, there would be no fight over it at all. The intensity of the battle is, strangely, a kind of confirmation. It tells you that what is on the other side of it is significant enough to be worth resisting. Do not let the size of the struggle convince you that the promise was never real. Let it convince you of the opposite. I know your prayers lately have felt repetitive, almost mechanical, the same request spoken into what feels like an empty room. I want you to know that repetition in prayer is not a failure of faith. It is often the very shape faith takes when it refuses to give up. I do not grow tired of hearing you ask. I am not keeping a tally of how many times is too many. Ask again. Ask as many times as you need to. Every time you return to me instead of walking away, you are choosing trust over despair, and that choice matters more than you know, even when it feels like nothing is changing. There is also a lie I want to address directly, because I know it has taken root in your thinking. The lie that says, your current weakness disqualifies you from what I have planned. You believe that if you were stronger, more disciplined, more consistent in your faith, the answer would have already come. My child, I have never required perfection as the entry fee for my promises. If that were the standard, no one would ever receive anything. I work through weakness, not around it. Every person I have ever used significantly was someone who came to me acutely aware of their own limitations. Your weakness is not the obstacle. Your refusal to bring that weakness to me honestly is the only thing that could ever actually stand in the way. I want to speak plainly about fear, because fear has been shaping more of your decisions lately than you have admitted, even to yourself. You are afraid of hoping too openly, because you remember what it felt like the last time hope did not lead where you expected. So you have started to protect yourself by expecting less, by softening your prayers into vague wishes instead of bold requests, by preparing your heart for disappointment before disappointment has even arrived. I understand why you built that armor, but that armor also blocks the very thing you are asking me for. Faith cannot fully receive what fear has already prepared to lose. I am not asking you to be reckless. I am asking you to let your guard down enough to actually hope again, even knowing it might hurt. There is a difference between resting in me and giving up on me, and I want you to learn to tell them apart, because right now you are close to confusing the two. Resting looks like stillness, with your eyes still open toward what I promised. Giving up looks like stillness with your eyes turned away, quietly building a smaller life so the disappointment cannot reach as deep the next time. I want you to rest. I do not want you to give up. The posture may look similar from the outside, but the direction of your heart is entirely different, and I know which one you are truly leaning toward, even when you try to convince yourself otherwise. I also want to speak to the comparison that has been quietly poisoning your peace. You have watched others receive what you are still waiting for, and instead of celebrating with them, you have felt a bitterness rise that you are almost ashamed to admit. My child, that bitterness is not a character flaw to hide from me. It is a wound to bring to me. Comparison convinces you that grace is limited, that if someone else received their answer, there is somehow less available for you. That is not how I work. I am not distributing a finite supply. Their harvest does not subtract from yours. Learn to rejoice with those who receive, not because it is easy, but because doing so keeps your heart soft enough to receive when your own season arrives. Let me tell you what I am actually doing in this waiting, because I do not want it to remain a mystery that only breeds more anxiety in you. I am teaching you to recognize my voice apart from the noise of your own urgency. I am stripping away the parts of your character that would have mishandled the blessing had it arrived too soon. I am building in you a patience that will become the foundation for everything that comes after this. I am showing you who stays and who leaves when the answer does not come quickly, and that information will matter more than you currently realize. None of this time has been wasted. Every part of it has been construction, even on the days it felt like demolition. I want to remind you of something you have likely forgotten in the weight of your current waiting. You have crossed thresholds before that once felt impossible. There were seasons in your past that felt exactly like this one, seasons where you were certain the story had reached its end, and yet you are here now, on the other side of them, still standing, still breathing, still able to look back and see how I carried you through what you were sure would break you. That same faithfulness has not changed. It is not conditional on how long this current season lasts. I was faithful then. I am faithful now. I will be faithful on the other side of this too. There will be a day, and I want you to hold on to this, when you look back at this exact stretch of your life and understand it differently than you understand it now. What feels like an unbearable stretch of silence will look, in hindsight, like the exact preparation you needed. What feels like abandonment will reveal itself as the closest attention I have ever paid to your life. You will see the threads I was weaving, even while you could only see the knots. That day is coming. I am not asking you to manufacture peace before you have evidence. I am asking you to trust me enough to wait for the evidence without collapsing before it arrives. So here is what I am asking of you tonight, plainly and without embellishment. Do not let this be the season you quietly walk away from what I promised. Do not let exhaustion write the final chapter of a story I have not finished. Bring me your doubt instead of hiding it. Bring me your bitterness instead of feeding it in silence. Bring me your fear instead of letting it script your decisions. I can work with honesty. I cannot work with a heart that has quietly closed the door and told me nothing about it. You are not too far gone for this promise. You are not too old, too broken, too inconsistent, too late. You are exactly where I intended you to be at this point in the story, and the story is not over. Keep your hand in mine, even if it is trembling. Keep your eyes forward, even if they are tired. Keep speaking to me, even if the words feel repetitive and small. I am not measuring your faith by its eloquence. I am measuring it by its persistence. I want to talk to you now about the fear of other people's opinions, because I have watched it steer more of your decisions than you would like to admit. There is a version of you that exists only in your imagination of what others think, and you have spent far too much energy trying to manage that version, instead of simply living as the person I made you to be. You hesitate to speak because you are afraid of being misunderstood. You hesitate to step forward because you are afraid of being seen as too much, too eager, too different from everyone around you. My child, the opinions of people who are not walking your path with you were never meant to be the compass for your decisions. I did not design you to be governed by a crowd. I designed you to be governed by conviction, by the quiet certainty that comes from knowing my voice. Think about how much of your life has been shaped by anticipating criticism that, in the end, never even came. You have talked yourself out of things I placed in your heart because you imagined how someone might react. And in doing so, you handed the steering wheel of your calling to a person who was not even in the room. That is not wisdom. That is fear wearing the costume of caution. I am not telling you to be careless or to ignore wise counsel from those who genuinely love you. I am telling you to stop pre-writing the disapproval of strangers and letting that imagined script dictate your obedience to me. There is a cost to living this way, and I do not want you to keep paying it. Every time you shrink back because of what someone might say, you also shrink back from what I wanted to do through you in that exact moment. The two are connected. You cannot fully open your hand to receive what I am offering, while your other hand is busy holding the door shut against judgment that has not even happened yet. I am asking you to let that door swing open. Some people will misunderstand you. That has always been true and will always be true. And it was true for every person I have ever used in a significant way. Their misunderstanding does not disqualify you. It simply means you are visible, and visibility always draws commentary. I also want to speak about the exhaustion of trying to prove yourself, because I sense that weariness in you, as clearly as I sense anything else. You have spent years trying to earn a sense of worth that I already gave you freely, long before you accomplished anything at all. You keep reaching for one more achievement, one more approval, one more sign that you have finally done enough to deserve rest. My child, that finish line does not exist, because it was never a real finish line to begin with. It was a moving target built by comparison and fear, and no amount of striving will ever satisfy it. Your worth was never something you needed to earn from me. It was settled the moment I formed you, long before you had done anything to justify it either way. I want you to notice the pattern you have fallen into. Whenever you receive criticism, you carry it for weeks, replaying it, letting it define how you see yourself. But when you receive praise, it barely registers, sliding off you within a day, forgotten by the time the next challenge arrives. That imbalance is not accidental. It is the enemy's strategy, to make the negative voices louder and more permanent in your memory than anything good. I want you to start resisting that pattern deliberately. When criticism comes, weigh it honestly, take what is useful, and release the rest instead of carrying it as identity. When encouragement comes, especially from me, let it actually land, let it stay. There is also something I want to say about the seasons when you feel invisible, when it seems like everyone around you is being noticed, promoted, celebrated, while you remain in the background doing quiet, unseen work that no one applauds. I want you to know that unseen work is not unimportant work. Some of the most significant things I build in a person's life happen in the seasons no one is watching, precisely because there is no audience to perform for. What you build in obscurity becomes the foundation strong enough to hold whatever visibility comes later. If I gave you the spotlight before that foundation was ready, it would collapse under the weight of expectation. So I am not neglecting you in the background, I am reinforcing you there. I know there have been moments when you felt treated unfairly, overlooked for something you worked hard for, misjudged by someone whose opinion mattered to you, excluded from rooms you believed you deserved to be in. I want to address that pain directly rather than smoothing over it. I see every instance of it. I am not blind to the unfairness, and I am not asking you to pretend it did not hurt. What I am asking is that you do not let that unfairness become the lens through which you interpret everything else in your life. Injustice happened to you. It does not define what is still coming for you. There is a difference between what was done to you and who I am making you into through it, and I do not want you to confuse the two. I want to speak about vindication now, because I know part of you has quietly hoped that one day the people who doubted you, dismissed you, or wronged you would somehow see the outcome and understand they were wrong. That desire is human, and I do not condemn it in you. But I want to redirect it slightly. Do not spend your waiting season constructing the moment of your vindication in your imagination, rehearsing what you will say, planning how their faces will change when they finally see. That kind of waiting keeps your heart tethered to the very people who hurt you. giving them ongoing power over your peace, long after the original wound. Instead, release the outcome to me. I am capable of vindicating you in ways far more thorough than anything you could orchestrate yourself, and I am far more interested in healing your heart than in staging a dramatic reversal for an audience. There is a kind of strength I want to develop in you that does not depend on being proven right. It is the strength of quiet integrity, the willingness to keep doing what is right, even when no one notices, even when the people who misjudged you never apologize, even when the record is never publicly corrected. That strength does not need an audience because its root is not in approval. Its root is in obedience to me. I promise you, that root grows stronger and more permanent than anything built on the temporary satisfaction of being proven right in front of others. I also want to talk about the small, ordinary faithfulness that I know feels invisible to you right now. The prayer you pray even when you do not feel like praying it. The kindness you show even when you are exhausted. The patience you extend to someone who has tested every last bit of it. These moments feel small to you, unremarkable, the kind of thing no one will ever know about or thank you for. But I want you to understand that these small moments are exactly where I am building the character that will carry the larger blessing I have planned. I do not build significant callings on top of neglected small faithfulness. Every quiet act of obedience is a brick in a foundation you cannot yet see the shape of. I want to close with this, because I think it is the thing your heart most needs to hear tonight. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified by your weariness, your doubt, your fear, or your past mistakes. You are in the middle of a process that has always been leading somewhere, even during the stretches that felt like nowhere at all. I have not lost track of a single prayer you have prayed, a single tear you have cried in private, a single night you almost gave up but did not. I have counted all of it, and none of it has been wasted. So tonight, my child, breathe. Loosen the grip you have been holding on control, on proving yourself, on managing everyone else's opinion of you. Let me carry what you were never meant to carry alone. I am not finished with you. I am not finished with this story, and when the answer finally comes, and it will come, you will understand that every part of this waiting was written with more care than you ever imagined possible. Hold on a little longer. Not because the waiting has become easier, but because you are closer than you think, and I have never once forgotten you, not for a single day of this journey, not for a single hour of this silence. I am here. I have always been here, and what I have promised you, I will bring to completion.